Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, and thanks for joining us at the All Heart Homestead. Now, it has been a couple weeks since our last video, because life happens, work happens, and, well, the videos sometimes fall behind schedule. If you couldn't tell by the video's title or just the first minute here, this is all about loading firewood and preparing for winter. Firewood is something that I find interesting. This is only our second year in this property, but it is actually our third winter. And preparing for this winter has been substantially different from the previous two winters. Last year we replaced our wood-burning stove with a newer model that burns so much cleaner and so much more efficient, but last year I didn't have that much firewood. And so what that meant is I was buying firewood from other sources. The one thing I kind of regret in the past two winters is I'm not really recording how much firewood that we're going through. It's more like estimates, and when you're doing estimates, it doesn't really help you prepare for the next year. Now that doesn't mean that I have not prepared. As you can see here within the firewood shed, there is a brand new floor that I actually created last winter. Because the first winter, all of my firewood was sitting on bare earth. Now, when we bought the property, there was the kind of rotted out old pallets and some, pressure treated wood that was in there, but it wasn't uniform and there was no kind of order to it. So I created these off of timber frames and some 2x4s and 2x6s that are pressure treated, and basically built a over-engineered and overpriced pallet that just fits the entire area. Now each one of them is roughly 8 foot long, and so this is about 16 foot long total space. It's actually a little bit longer when you actually get in there. It's about 18 foot from side to side. And I think it's actually exactly 8 foot in depth. So 16 or 18 feet wide, 8 foot deep, and the height there is about like 5 foot-ish. I can't stand up obviously in it, but if I don't have the deck there and I'm standing on the bare ground, I'm kind of just hunched over and just a tad. Another thing that I did this year to prepare for this winter is I bought the log splitter, which you've seen in the previous video. Before, I was kind of chopping and splitting all of my wood by hand, and it's not necessarily like a bad thing. I know a lot of people almost prefer that. It's, kind of more in line with nature. It's definitely a very good workout. But the one thing about it is it's very time intensive. Nonetheless, it also, is very physically demanding as well. So for me, looking at it from a kind of logical standpoint, is this: you got that time on the left hand, and then you have that physical draining on the right hand. And the amount of firewood that I can process in an hour with a machine versus how much I can process in an hour by hand is night and day. Now, all the firewood that I'm stacking right now is just freshly kind of split this year, but it is all from trees that were felled last year. So last August, my property was lumbered, and so we actually had, all the logging operation going on within my property and some other properties nearby, and I had a lot of treetops that were left on the ground. So last year I did the hard work of kind of taking all those logs, piling them up so not all of them are sitting on the ground to rot out. I also blocked off quite a bit. I think I blocked off maybe a cord, probably closer to 2 cords that actually blocked, and I stacked that. And so all this wood is over a year old of seasoned. Now it's not split seasoned, it's log form and block formed, but nonetheless it is a year old firewood. Now there was some that actually did get rotted out, but I think the little small kind of rot that's on the outside it isn't going to be too bad. It'll create a little extra, I guess, dirt in the fireplace and the wood stove, but I'm not too worried about it. But that's also why I didn't have any firewood last year, is because last August I was, all the trees were felled and they were logged, but they were definitely not ready to burn, so they had to sit there and, season for the year. And so I had to buy a lot of wood. And I thought I was buying from good sources and I thought I was buying for decent prices, but it actually wasn't so good. And I guess I'll explain why. The one thing I really learned last year about buying firewood is the price of firewood and what a cord is. The cords that are at least happening in the Northeast, I don't know what they're using for a cord, but it's not a true cord. At least it doesn't seem so by me. I have bought cords on different sizes and different deliveries from anywhere from 1 cords to 3 cords, and I don't believe any delivery was even remotely the same in size to relation to what they called a cord. With the standard cord of being 4 foot deep, 8 foot long, and 4 foot high stacked, I don't think that anything that I got was actually a true cord. And more than likely was actually being sold as a face cord, which is just that front area of that cord. So you're missing half of it. And I think that's what I was getting sold. So when you're going to buy firewood, if you do, make sure you kind of clarify what kind of cord that you're getting. In America, it seems that we get to kind of finagle with those rules and those sayings and say, oh, hey, it's a cord, and really not say that it's a true, 4 foot by 4 foot by 8 foot cord. And with that in mind, you can look here. I'm working on the third row here, and this is 2 rows thick. So you're talking about a little over 4 feet, and it's 16 foot long, maybe 18 foot, and it's definitely about 4 foot tall. So you have right here resembling maybe a little over 2 cords, and I never actually got to fill this up even with buying firewood. So getting 3 cords worth of wood, I've never been able to fully fill this up. So that's where I'm kind of coming to this consensus that at least the people that supply it around where I live don't actually deliver true cords. The next thing you have to be kind of weary of when you're buying firewood is when they say it's seasoned. How long has it been seasoned? How was it seasoned? Is it covered? Is it left into the elements? Are they saying it's seasoned because it was cut down in June and now it's October? Are they actually saying, oh, hey, it's seasoned because it's one season has passed? Or is it seasoned properly where it's like an entire year has passed? You to have wood that was felled in June and burned in November is not really going to help you and is definitely going to have a moisture content that is way outside the kind of prime area that you want it at. Now, with that said, all this wood sitting here once I stacked it is about 18% once it's under cover. Now, after about a month being under cover, most of this wood is at 15%. And once I start burning this, I'm safely assuming I'm going to get into that 13 to 14%. So it's definitely not like the best dry wood, but it's still pretty damn well, and I think it's going to be way more efficient than it was the previous year. The only thing I have to worry about is what kind of wood I'm burning. Last year I had a lot of cherry and I had a lot of oak, which definitely burns differently than the wood that I have right now, which is significantly more ash. So I have about 90% ash and 10% oak in this wood pile right now. And based off the previous years, I really don't know what I burned more of, but from what I've found out and studied and heard from other people, is that ash, where it throws off a kind of metric shit ton of BTUs, it burns really fast. So it burns hot and it burns well, but it burns really fast, and so you're going to be loading the wood stove a lot more than if I was using oak, which still throws off good BTUs, but doesn't kind of like, go puff into smoke and turn to ash. Yeah, ash. So if you're going to buy firewood, make sure you can just do some research and ask some questions. If they don't want to answer them, it's okay. It's expensive. Here you're paying about $200 to $220 a cord. So make sure you get what it's worth. It will benefit you and your family.
So that was a hell of a workout there. About an hour and a half. I don't know actually how much cord it actually is. I think each cord is, or each side is basically one cord ish, double stacked. So we have, I think, 2+ cords in here. I really don't know. The one thing is it's supposed to be only 4 foot tall. This is definitely taller than 4 foot. If I'm not mistaken, 1/2 was 3/4 of cord actually last year. So 0.75 times 4, yeah, that's how much it is. Definitely it's a sweaty day. These August days though, you can't really work during the day too much. It's too hot, and you're just gonna get soaked and dehydrated. So hope you enjoyed the montage and the time lapse. A little bit different video today, but yeah, it's good to be back. Also, is there not something just so relaxing as a sprinkler in the background? Like that just sound is relaxing. So we're not done nearly. It looks like we can start the row 3, and then I think we'll get basically I think a total of 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th row might be really pushing it. But yeah, so 5 rows. Each row is a cord, so 5 to 6 maybe plus cords in here, stacked right. Someone's gonna have to do the measurement, but this is stacked tight too. This is not a typical cord of wood, and definitely not a face cord. But yeah, until next time, I'll check you guys in the next video. Have a good day.